Hey guys, just wanting to give an update about what's been going on in our lives. If you didn't already know, when we came back from Japan, we found out that we were pregnant within like just a week or two of coming back home, and so that was very exciting for us. And a few weeks later, though, I did have some bleeding in pregnancy and found out that I had a subchorionic hemorrhage. We were very scared because we thought we were gonna lose the baby and everything else. And our doctors told us it was not a big deal, that, subchorionic hemorrhages usually like resolve themselves and stuff. So we took a lot to our faith and praying, and I felt like God was telling me it was gonna be okay. Didn't know like what that meant. Like, does that mean she's gonna be okay? Like that God's gonna have it no matter what the outcome? I don't know, but like Tommy felt like it was meaning that our baby, which obviously I said she is a baby girl, would be okay. And we've been wanting a baby girl for like years. Just Killian has always wanted a baby sister. Um, we would have loved a kid no matter what, but we were just wanting one of each. That'd just be really cool. We had a hard time with wanting to celebrate things with all the bleeding, but we did like a little gender reveal just with like our neighbors, because I couldn't really walk very much without causing bleeding and stuff. So I was pretty much on a modified bed rest and not able to do much of anything, which was really difficult. But then at 13 weeks and 6 days pregnant, I had some major bleeding, enough that I probably should have been in the ER. I did not realize that at the time until I spoke to the hospital near me, and they said that I should have been hospitalized. But I was not, as the care I was under wrote it off as just part of my hemorrhage, but it was not. I actually had a premature rupturing of the membranes. Um, Basically means like my water broke at 13 and 6, which is very early. We didn't find out though until we got a hint at 14 weeks, and some days I went to a different hospital. They pointed out that my fluid was low for the baby. It was discouraging, but I figured it was like I had had a lot of pregnancy nausea, so I was like, well, maybe it's just like I just haven't been able to like eat or drink very much, because I was just having like a lot of difficulty with that. So they gave me some nausea medication, and sent me home and said, hey, we'll see you back at 16 weeks just to make sure that fluid is indeed okay. At 16 weeks, I came back, and there was no fluid. The doctor that I had seen at the time told me that there was no hope of being able to carry to viability, which was considered 22 to 24 weeks at my hospital, and that termination was my only option, that without fluid that her lungs would not develop properly. So I spent a lot of time praying about that and crying over it, and Tommy reminded me of that prayer that I felt like God had said that she would be okay, and he said he wanted to try to push forward and see if we could carry her. We were warned that there were risks to my life with infection. They weren't great risks, but they were still risks that could happen, and they did think infection could happen, that I would have to be hospitalized and deal with that. We decided to try to continue to carry it through, despite the warnings that they had not seen. Multiple doctors we had seen said they had not seen a woman carry past 4 weeks of pregnancy after their water had broken. I had like a little flip book calendar that one of my friends made me to help count down the days, because I had started like a little countdown on my personal Facebook account, counting down every day until viability, until we could be admitted. I finally got to viability. I think we were counting down for quite a while. 16 weeks till 22 is when we knew. Every appointment felt like really grim. It felt like everyone was constantly telling me like all the negatives. I spent a lot of tears, a lot of anxiety and stress over all that time period. And at 22 weeks, I was admitted to the hospital. I had multiple IVs. I had steroids that I had reactions to. I had this awful bolus of magnesium at one point when they thought labor was imminent, when my baby sat on our cord at like 24 weeks. Like, there are a lot of things that I experienced. It's very stressful, and I was put on a lot of rest, and I spent a lot of days just trying to be thankful for every day that I got to be pregnant. So 26 and 2 came around, and we were doing fine. And then after my shower, Tommy had noticed some bleeding that was a little strange, and I had passed a clot that was rather large, and that wasn't unusual with the hemorrhage that I had, though. That had happened on and off the whole pregnancy, so I didn't think anything of it, but we called a nurse in just in case. And the nurse said, yeah, let's pop her on the NST, which is a neonatal stress test, to check her heart rate. And I had been doing those 3 times a day for an hour each, just to double check that the baby was okay. And so they popped her on, and they said her heart rate was my heart rate. Instead of, it's supposed to be around 120 to 160 beats per minute, but they found that it was more closely to like the 80s, which was very concerning. And they said that they needed to take me back, and they took me to a room that was right across from the operating room. I, at this point, was in shock, and I was literally like shaking so bad. I kept mentioning it to my doctors, and they also agreed that it was shock and it was like normal, that I was probably just really scared. I did notice at this time there was a doctor, and I absolutely adored her. She was there the first time at the 24-week scare when my baby sat on her cord, and she was there, and I felt relief because I really wanted her to be there for the whole like birthing and delivery. I don't know why. I just felt like everything would be better if she was there. Some reason she was very calming to me. So I was super excited to see her there. We'll just call her Ray for this video, just to protect her from anything. Tommy is not in the room at this point because he didn't have time to be in the room because he was trying to get Killian to have a friend pick him up, because Killian happened to be with us and Tommy couldn't go back with me. So we went back to the operating room, and that was terrifying for me because I knew what was happening at this point. It was literally one of my worst fears for pregnancy, even with Killian, which was an emergency C-section, having to go under general anesthesia where you're made unconscious to try and save the baby as quickly as possible. And when I asked them if we had time to do a block of anesthesia, which would be that I would be awake during the C-section that they were having to do, they said they did not have time if they wanted to save the baby. So I said, okay, do what you have to save her. So they started like running around everywhere. And mind you, this whole process, I think from the beginning of this until the time they got her out, took them 10 minutes tops. Like, they were very fast. It was phenomenal. They did their jobs really well. Even the anesthesiologist, like, I was panicking. I was like, are you sure you don't have time? Is everything gonna be okay? And like, I kept asking him, I was like, are you gonna wake me up? Are you gonna make sure that I wake up? And I was like, I don't think I'm breathing. And he was like, you're breathing, honey. You're doing just fine. I'm watching your O2. I will be watching you the whole time. I will make sure you wake up. And he was very sweet. I absolutely felt calmed by him. And then, of course, he was like, and you're going to be asleep like really fast here. And he was right. I don't remember anything after that. I was asleep so fast. When I woke up, I obviously was very disoriented from the anesthesia. I had to have a cut called a classical cut because of how young of gestation and how small my uterus was. They went ahead and told me like right away that my husband's there and that I could talk to him when I'm like waking up, and I was very delirious. I don't remember the first things I said. I'd have to ask Tommy what it was, but I'm sure it had to do something with asking how the baby was. And I remember Tommy not knowing how she was, but he knew that she was alive. they had managed to resuscitate her, and that he didn't know they had rushed her off to NICU after that. He told me at the time that we could, find out updates right when the NICU nurses were coming in. I think it was shortly after that a NICU nurse came in, and I was like, I can't know yet. If I hear any bad news right now, I know I'm going to be uncontrollably sobbing and I will be in so much pain. So I was like, at least give me on some painkillers and then we'll talk, okay? And I think the nurse was really shocked by that when she had come up and she's like, are you sure you don't want to know? And I was like, you can tell my husband, just don't tell me. But eventually, as she started like talking, I was like, okay, I can't handle it. Like, I need to know. I'm going to ask my husband anyway, and I'm going to know by his face, and I need to be available too. I was like, just tell me. I was like, is she alive? And she's like, yeah, she's alive. She's alive, and she's doing pretty good considering she's in critical condition. And I had been told so many times that her lungs wouldn't work even if we made it to like 32 weeks. I think statistically that is more probable or more true. I think that we have been blessed with a miracle. I think it was 2 hours later that I was able to stabilize enough that I could go to a different room than the emergency room, care room that they had me in after the C-section. And once I stabilized enough that I could kind of like be less groggy and I could actually swallow without fear of aspiration, stuff like that. And my voice sounded terrible because they had to put like tubes down my throat. So it just, gosh, it sounded like I was sick for, I don't know, like a week after. I think it was within maybe an hour or two. Tommy was asleep. He had already gone to the NICU and seen our baby, which we named Piper Elise. Elise means God is my oath in Irish, and it reminded me of the prayer that I had where God said that she would be okay. And Piper, to me, was something that, like, Piper is known for, like, Piper means like someone that plays the pipes. So I was thinking like her lungs and her being able to make sound just reminded me of that. So I thought Piper was a cute name. It was between Piper or Autumn, and eventually we started taking votes too to help us. And Piper was one that I had leaned towards for the meaning, and I felt like it was feistier, which she would have to be to make it through everything. She is still in the NICU today. It's 2 weeks since that date. September 19th is when she was born. She's doing pretty good, like, considering all things. Her lungs do exchange gas. They are definitely small, and they definitely need a lot of help. Like, she's on oscillator vents. She's on nitric oxide oxygen, like all sorts of things to help her out. And she's in a very critical condition. We're looking at months of being in the NICU. Like, I think we'll probably be in there until at least December. But we're blessed to have every single day with this little girl because, we were told that we wouldn't get any days. To have experienced 2 weeks where I've gotten to hold her, change her diaper, and work with her, like, I feel super blessed that I get to experience these moments. And I pray that she gets to have a really long life of happiness and joy, and that's my prayer. And I trust God no matter what the outcome is going to be, and I believe that it'll all be okay. NICU has been a really emotional process. Like, it's very hard. There's days that she has 100% oxygen needs. There's days she has 60. There's days that she's doing amazing. She's already accomplished so much. She's been such a little fighter through all of this. Like, she's already gone through something called pneumothorax and resolved it and, like, recovered from it fantastically. That little girl is, like, trying so hard, and she's doing an amazing job. I'm flabbergasted at, like, watching her recover, like, through things that are just, big hurdles in her life. The nurses have told me they're astounded. Like, when she came out, She had to be resuscitated, and it took a long time. She had to have chest compressions and everything to bring her back to life. They were worried that she would have brain bleeds from that. And the doctors did head scans. They've done multiple now. And when they did the scans, the doctors came back and they were so excited. They were like, you wouldn't believe this. They're like, normally a baby would have a brain bleed after that amount of time of being out before we could revive them. And after chest compressions like that, and they said she has nothing. Like her brain looks great. They said it was astounding even to them. Yeah, it's definitely like miracle after miracle. I feel like God has really blessed us. And I'm trying to keep it together. I'm super happy. It's still very hard. We have a long road ahead of us. And I pray that, one day that little girl gets to run and shout and scream and play with her brother. He already loves her so much. He's gotten to hold her hand, and she, of course, curled our little fingers around his. And he loved it. He's telling me, he's like, I've got to protect her. I'm going to take care of her and stuff like that. And it's really sweet. And we try to, let him know that she's in a critical state and that she needs the help that the doctors are giving her. And, that we need to pray hard for her. And he's done an amazing job at handling it. And yeah, that's kind of everything that's been going on. There's a lot more hurdles to conquer. And I believe God can pull her through every single one. And yeah, we'll have to keep you guys posted on how it's going. She's got the same chin as Killian. She's got the little dimple right in the middle, same nose and everything, and she's a cute little thing. She likes being on her belly. She gets really mad at the nurses and kicks them if they try to move her elsewhere. So yeah, that's the update right now. I think there's videos and pictures of us when we're in the hospital, because I lived in the hospital for 5 weeks, just trying to do everything we could to make sure this little girl got a shot at life, that we felt like she deserved to have that chance. Yeah, we'll keep you guys posted. Thanks for listening, and yeah, we'll keep on adventuring, going through life, even if the adventures are sometimes a little more tough. So, all right, see you guys later.